A middle school teacher approaches me and says, Alex, one of my students apparently loves your videos on YouTube, but was too shy to come talk to you in real life. So he gave me this note and told me to give it to you. He also said to not read this note because it had to do with a boy problem, whatever that means. Here you go. She gives it to me and just walks away. So as I'm looking at this paper, I knew exactly what I was going to say. It doesn't really take a genius. Every 13-year-old kid has the same exact problem in today's time. I'm sure we can all conclude that this message says, I have an addiction to fapping. Help. This is a letter sent to me by a 13-year-old child. I can't give you the same exact advice that I'd give to a grown man. So instead I have to break it down in small bite-sized pieces for you, and you're going to have to try your best to stay with me this entire video so you can actually end this addiction right now. Better off now than it is later on. Because the longer that you're an addict, the harder it is to stop. Starting this off, it's way easier if I tell you, for an example, to stop drinking soda or lay off the candy and chips and pop and stuff, right? That's way easier for you. And you probably could actually do it. You could probably go, let's say, a month or two without drinking any soda at all. It's very, very doable. You can actually do this, and I would recommend you actually starting off not by stopping fapping just yet, but by stopping your negative diet. And by doing this little baby step, you'll eventually realize, hold up, if I could control my stomach when I used to love drinking candy, soda and candy and all this stuff, if I realize that I can easily control my stomach and my hunger and my craving for sugar, then I can also probably control my right hand. And when you realize this concept at that early of an age, that it's fully in your control, there's no magic formula, there's no magic secret pill, you have the answers within you this entire time. So start off really, really small by maybe setting a really tiny diet for yourself. Now you can only have candy once a week, and then once a month, and then never. So try this out for yourself, and then once you realize that you can control what's happening in your stomach, then you can control the actions of your right hand. Now this step is the most simple to follow. It's one of the easiest when you're first starting off. It's what I personally did, and is that if you're suffering with this addiction, try your best to keep your hands off of it as possible. So keep your hands off of your thing as best as you possibly can. Unless it's necessary and you have to, for an example, like in the bathroom or whatever else it may be. I'm not going to get into full detail. Try your best to not make any contact with it whatsoever. Draw the line right there where it's like, I'm not even going to just watch the video on my phone and then, do a little bit of stuff. No, I'm not even going to start at all. It's going to stop at conception, at level 1. And if you follow that, it's going to make it way easier, because the easiest battle to fight is the first one. But when you start to dive into a little bit more and more and deeper, then it becomes way harder to stop at that moment. So if you can stop yourself before you even start, it's going to be way easier for you down in the long run. So make sure that your hands stay free from what they should not be touching unless absolutely necessary. This is the greatest, most simple advice that I can give anybody suffering from this addiction, especially at such a young age. Block P from every single device in your household. Make it so that it's so unnecessarily hard to get access to it that it comes to a point where you're like, is it even worth it at this point? I have to go change some settings in my router and go type in a passcode on my phone and unlock it and do all this stuff. I'd rather not even do that, to be honest. Make it so that, let's say for an example, the same kind of concept, if you're trying to stay away from like chips and candy, you want to put all the candy at the highest level drawer in your house so that you could technically go climb on top of the countertop and open up the drawers and get it. But who wants to go through all that trouble? Forget it. It's not even worth it at this point. So try doing that as best as you can, where you set up all these blockers and restrictions on your phones and your router so that I actually made a full video on this previously, multiple videos, where you can block it off of your router by changing your DNS setting to 1.1.1.3, and the secondary is 1.0.0.3. It takes totally basic level knowledge of how a router works. You just log into it, go to your DNS setting, and just change that one setting. It will block it for your entire household, not only for yourself. Now, what I personally did was I challenged my friends back in middle school and high school to see who can stop fapping for the longest time. We all had the addiction. Every single one of us, every single guy that I knew that I spoke with had the addiction, except one guy. And it turns out he told me way later on in life, like 6 years after, he's like, yo, by the way, I was lying. I had the addiction worse than all of you guys. So every single man that I know had it. And what I said was, look, if we're all struggling together, let's all challenge each other and race towards goodness. So I would tell all my friends in like a group, like 3 or 4 guys, yo, the first one to break their streak out of all of us has to go donate like $15 to a certain charity. And I was actually the first person to lose every single time. I would challenge my friends and I would always be the one to lose. So believe it or not, I was like donating to charity literally every single week when all my friends would be going on day 30, 35. The longest that I would go, like the absolute longest, was like 21 days, not even more. So try your best to have all of your friends in on this with you so that you guys can encourage each other to do good. Otherwise, if you don't have friends like this, or they're not open about it and they don't want to talk about it, or worse yet, all they do is talk about it and how much they do it and how fun it is, and they kind of encourage you to actually watch more of these videos online and they give you more like specific details, disconnect these friends entirely. If they enjoy what they're doing and they're enjoying the evil, then stay away from them. Like totally disconnect from them. Don't talk to them. Don't be in the same room as them as they're talking about all these negative things that they're talking about, or which kinds of videos they watched last night, or how cute this girl is in school, or whatever else it is. Stay away from all of that talk, because the more that you hear that stuff, the more that you see it, the more likely you are going to act on it in the future. So cut off the friends or work together with them to enjoying the good. Now this step right here, I knew would help me solve the problem. It must have been like 80 to 90% of the issue itself, but I was too much of a little wimp to actually go and do it. It must have taken me about 7 or 8 years to grow the testicular fortitude to actually make this jump and stop it for good. I must have been 18 years old when I deleted all of my personal social media accounts, literally every single account. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all of the above, I wiped out and cleared myself from the internet, because I realized that a lot of my triggers weren't coming from like real life things, for an example, or like there weren't really like girls trying to hit on me in school too often, actually probably like once in my life maybe. But in reality, what was actually making me more and more triggered was going on social media, like Instagram and Snapchat, and oh my God, it's everywhere, bro. TikTok is the worst, especially. I'll give you one example. The Instagram Explore page. No matter what you want to do, you cannot remove this part of the app no matter what. And on this part of the app, they will continually show you half-naked women because they know that it's going to make you more engaged in the app so you can stay on it longer. Instead of having to fight every single day by looking at the Instagram app thinking, man, I want to open it up, I want to answer my DMs. All my friends talk to me on there. I have so many group chats, so many girls I talk to. Listen, it's so simple. If you really believe that with all your friends, the only fabric that you guys have to connect with is an Instagram DM or a Snapchat group chat, you're going to lose all these friends right when you graduate. If that's the only fabric holding you guys together, you don't have friends, my boy. It's that simple. If somebody really loves you and they need you and they want you in life and they want to help you out in life, they will call your cell phone. They will send you a text message like a normal human being would. If a direct message feature on a social media app is the only fabric holding you and your friends together, you guys are bound to fall apart. So end it off from right here. It's so simple. Either throw away the candy that's sitting on your kitchen counter, or uninstall all these social media apps off of your phone so there's no more you wasting willpower for no reason every single day, because it's going to get depleted and you're going to eventually lose. So do this better than I did. It took me like 8 years of having social media to eventually cut it out of my life, when it shouldn't take you that long as well. If I would have just done that at age 13, my addiction would have ended way earlier. I promise you, social media and these algorithms are one of the biggest triggers, one of the biggest problems towards keeping your addiction alive. End it at the source. The question that you have to ask yourself was, why did you even start to begin with? Was it because of puberty and your natural desires as a man to get with a woman? Or was it because of a greater issue that you have in life that you're using this as a coping mechanism for? For an example, was it a family issue that you had? Are you always alone in your room? Do you have abandonment issues? Was it lack of love or emotional support from a parent figure? If this has become a coping mechanism for you, then you should be scared. You should be scared because of how bad this could get if you don't stop as early as possible. The longer that you use this to fill the void for, the harder it's going to be to close later on down in life. So like you being 13 years old is still so young. Your brain is still a sponge. It's still so malleable. You can still work on yourself and fix it really, really quick. But the longer that you wait, the harder the problem becomes to fix, and the harder that it is for your brain to relearn a brand new habit or to cut out an old one. So you have to start this off by taking yourself entirely seriously and realizing that this is a definite huge problem. Think of the issue as it first started, my boy. You gave me this paper, not by your hand, but by your teacher's hand, because you were too nervous to come talk to me because of how big of an issue this is. Do not undermine it. Don't listen to anybody else that tells you that this is normal, bro. I did this also at your age. This is not normal whatsoever. This is a new problem, and everyone is hooked, which is making it seem like the norm, but it doesn't make it normal or healthy or natural for you whatsoever. So beware. If you undermine this problem and you hold off ending your addiction way later on down in life, and you actually end it like at age 25 or even at age 30, it's going to have negative effects not only on you and your personal life, but on your relationships and especially on your marriage down the line. I made a video about how a couple in the past got divorced, and one of the major reasons for that was because of the husband's addiction to pornography. So this is going to cause monumental problems in your life, with your family, with your relationship, and with your future wife, spouse, or even kids. I know somebody in real life that has PIED. This is called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. He watched so many videos that it set the bar for what he thinks is sexy now. So when he's trying to get it on with a, actual girl in like real life, his thing down there doesn't even work anymore, because all he's used to seeing is these synthetic women that have all of these physically exaggerated elements, and a real life woman doesn't do the trick for him, and his thing stopped working. He's going to therapy for it right now. It's one of the biggest problems he's had in his entire life. Don't be that guy. Take yourself seriously and end it as fast as you possibly can. You really have to shape up the way that you look at yourself and the way that you look at this problem. You have to hold it to a level of what it's actually worth. This is one of the biggest problems you will ever face in your entire life. And if you don't solve it, it can be one of the biggest downfalls of your life. Do not ever undermine it, and don't listen to anybody that tells you otherwise, saying, oh, it's fine, it's normal, you're just going through a phase. It's not a phase. It does not end by itself, and no problem in life gets better by itself. At this young of an age, you have to realize that not everything in life is about chasing this short-term pleasure. And if you don't, it'll cause you long-term pain. Thank you for watching this video. Stay dreaming, stay lucid. I'm out. Peace.